Hello everyone, JRP Vlogs here, and today we are doing our third reaction to a trailer, and this time it is to the trailer for the TV show Star Trek Discovery. Us Star Trek nerds have been waiting forever for a new Star Trek TV show, and now it has finally come. The last time a Star Trek TV show was on TV was way back in 2003, so we have been waiting 14 years for it to come back, and now it has finally come back. Just 3 hours ago, the Star Trek Discovery very first trailer just went up today, and we are so excited. Alright, that was amazing. Now all we're going to do is break it down piece by piece to show you what a true nerd like me catches to the average layman view what you might have missed. We'll go through every little step of it. Just a quick footnote, this is the last time you'll see me with this long hair. I'm getting quite a new interesting hairstyle tomorrow, which you'll see in my next video. Alright, let's break down the very first scene. First of all, it is CBS All Access, meaning that it is a streaming service. The first episode will be on CBS, the actual TV show, the actual TV channel, but then all the other episodes after that will be on the CBS All Access streaming service. I wanted it to be on TV like all the other Star Treks have been, but apparently streaming is the big way to go now, so I guess we'll just roll with it. First of all, we see her on this cool desert planet. I would say, I would maybe Vulcan. That's the only red planet I can think of. They haven't really used Mars yet in Star Trek, so I'm going to go with Vulcan. That's where they're at right now. I don't know why they're walking. My guess is maybe they're marooned. Here we say that, the caption, it is 10 years before Kirk, Spock, and the Enterprise, just in case you didn't know that. Again, this is a prequel. I'm not big on prequels, but hopefully my doubts will be eliminated. It is after the show Star Trek Enterprise with Scott Bakula and before just the show Star Trek with William Shatner. So it's right there in the middle, and you'll see a good blend of the two themes with the uniforms later in this trailer.
Captain, where are we going? We have no map, and you can't set a course without a star.
Which, by saying they have no map, obviously implies that they're lost. But apparently the captain seems like she has everything under control.
Star. It's hard to imagine. You've served under me for 7 years.
Right away, when I heard this captain talk for the first line, I have to say I was not impressed. It kind of sounds like that they just gave her the script 5 minutes before. Sounds a little forced to me, although, I guess it's because I've always been a director directing stuff. I like things to be perfect, so just to me that sounds like it's a little forced. I'm hoping that it won't sound so much like a fan film as we go forward. Hopefully I'll get used to it or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, I don't have anything else to add on that.
7 years. Commander Burner, I think it is time we talked about you having your own command. To transport.
You can look at this communicator, and from the sharp edge it's hard to tell if it's exactly the same communicator or not as the one in Kirk. I think it is the same one, mostly. I'm hoping it'll be the same one because it's too close to Kirk to change that much. We get our first look at the ship right here. It's an interesting combination of designs. It has the warp nacelles extending back like the Enterprise, the original Enterprise, NX-01 with Scott Bakula. And the front is an interesting combination of how Voyager's was designed, with the front circle being connected to the back engineering section. It's an interesting new design. Not a big fan of the color. It does fit with the whole prequel look, however. So there's that. Looks interesting. Interesting new beaming. I can't remember exactly what the Star Trek Enterprise beaming looked before. And by the way, if you forgot, the reason why I keep comparing this show to that show is because the Enterprise show was supposed to be taking place 100 years before Kirk, and Kirk takes place 10 years after this show. So everything you see in this video, in this trailer, should be somewhere in between that, technology-wise. This beaming looks similar to the way the Klingons beamed out in the original series, the bronze color beaming. I could get used to it. I don't want too many changes though, because this does take place in the original universe. People are hoping it didn't take place within the reboot from all those reboot movies you've been seeing lately. It does not take place within those movies. So I'm hoping we'll see a little bit more of an integration. So yeah, we get our first look at warp technology in this time frame. Very different, but it really you can really see the bending of space and time, whereas other shows have shown it like more as a hyperspace tunnel from Star Wars. So I think I could get on board with this. My only concern every time I see something new is, once again, it needs to fit in between Enterprise and the original series. The more changes I see, the more I'm thinking, is this a prototype ship? Is that how they're going to explain the differences? Or were they simply not that thorough? I'm hoping for the former. Get another look at the ship here. It looks very, gray, utilitarian, very reminiscent of the original Enterprise ship, which I am happy about. You want it to look old because it is a prequel one, so I'm happy about that.
Great unifiers, a few and far between.
You look at the very first look at the bridge right here. I assume this is the first officer, although I'm not sure exactly who they are. In fact, it might not even be the same ship as the Asian captain we saw earlier, because obviously she was a captain, and she mentioned the person walking with her was a commander, which is usually a first officer, but it could also be our second or third officer, so it's very possible that this is the first officer. Obviously, I don't want to point this out, but there is a lot more diversity in this show than there was in Kirk's one. And to be extremely accurate, really, there should be no more than one Vulcan. Everyone else should be regular guys. But I guess, for political reasons, they want to become a little more diverse, which I get, but it does not match up with the story. So I don't have any biases. I'm just saying it doesn't really match up with the story. That's all.
They do come.
The voice you hear is Sarek, the father of Spock. He will be in the show, and he will be a major character, so I am happy to have that connection.
Often such leaders will need a profound...
There he is. There is Spock. Not Spock, Sarek. Obviously, it's not the same actor, because I don't even know if he's alive anymore, but if he is, he's really old, so they needed a younger guy. But I actually was really happy with their choice. He sounds like he easily could be Sarek.
Cause for their followers to rally around.
So let's take another look at the costumes right here. A very nice integration of the Enterprise and original series shows. You got the all blue from Enterprise, but a little more color, and the Star Trek logo from the original series, so that is cool. Again, we see a lot more technology and aliens on this ship than there should be. I only hope that they can explain it by saying it's a prototype ship, which is why they have way more. Other than that, I don't see how they could explain the severe downgrade in technology and lack of aliens in the following show, which is Kirk's original series. So, hope they fix that. What alien right there?
What am I looking at?
Object of unknown origin.
Let's go back to that. That's another alien. Seems very, very familiar. They've had thousands of aliens on every show over the years, so I don't remember exactly if I've seen that before. But again, yet another alien in a Star Trek costume, so that's interesting. I'm trying to figure out the way rank is presented with this costume. You see, this lady has gold and this guy has silver. That's a good indication of rank. But they need more than that, so I don't see any rank pips on the neck here. Let's see. Barely see. It's possible that these stripes mean something right here. I'm not sure. But once again, we got a different rank system.
What am I looking at?
Object of unknown origin.
Obviously, you can't tell what the heck that is.
We've come all this way, Captain. It would be irresponsible to leave whatever.
So we got a cool new spacesuit, very reminiscent of the reboot series. There were many times when, or at least once in both movies, where Kirk and Spock, the rebooted Kirk and Spock, had to get in costumes like this in order to go out into open space.
That is unknown.
What have you done out there on the edge of Federation space?
Computer. Enable igniter.
There's a lot of things to go over right there. So it seems like Sarek is very involved in whatever's going on right now. He's asking what's going on, And it looks like that whoever this is, I don't know, again, we don't know her rank, we don't know how high up she is, but whoever it is, he's reporting to her, and it looks like he's very involved. We don't know if it's officially involved or not. That could be a big factor. We get more looks at the bridge. We get whatever this is. Let's go back to this. You get a good view at this nice, cool planet. Once again, reminiscent of the reboot series where they fly through with a spacesuit. Again, this is a teaser, so we don't really know anything about it, but it does look high tech, even probably a little too high tech for its time frame, but it still looks cool.
Computer. Enable igniter.
This fall, we don't know exactly when it comes out, but we were so glad that they could finally narrow it down to this fall, because there's been lots of delays and changes over the years. It was supposed to come out last December, but they keep pushing it back. I'm just glad that it's out. Also, because it's a Netflix and CBS All Access show, one would speculate that it all comes out as one chunk of all the episodes at once, which is good if you're really, hyped and you want to see it all. But then once you see all 13 episodes, that's it, and then you gotta wait like practically a year until the next show comes out. So pros and cons. But anyways, yeah, this fall. Can't tell what this is. Can't even. Yeah, I have no idea what that is. Now, this is a traditional Klingon burial ceremony where they Klingon passes away and they get rid of him. But wait till you see this. Apparently, these are supposed to be Klingons. Now, my sister pointed out earlier that just because they show this and then reference the name doesn't mean they are actually Klingons, but the trailer is definitely leading you to believe that, considering the connection. But these look nothing like Klingons. I guess if you remember from the reboot movies, they did have Klingons in those movies, and they did look kind of like this with the weird heads and squigglies on them. So that was not supposed to be part of it, I was thinking, because this is based in the original universe, not the reboot universe. So I don't know if I'll ever be able to get used to those Klingons. They just don't look the same to me. But hopefully I'll get used to them.
Captain,
you can see right there the standard Klingon symbol. I'm glad they kept that.
Captain, what signatures detected?
Contact Starfleet Command. We have engaged the Klingons.
That statement is very reminiscent of what Jean-Luc Picard, actually, it was Riker. He said, contact Starfleet Command, we have engaged the Borgs. That was a cool flashback for me there.
Contact Starfleet Command. We have engaged the Klingons.
And so, yeah, once again, you get a good look at the Klingon, if it is a Klingon. And I'll have to get used to it, but I need that hair. I'm used to Klingons having a lot of hair, so we'll see if I get used to that. Also, in case it hasn't become clear, it seems apparent that this is the captain. Many people thought that the captain would be a Klingon, which obviously if they're fighting the Klingons, I don't see how that could be possible. In fact, according to the fictional timeline, Klingons were not even friends with Starfleet well until the Next Generation in Picard, so there's no way that a Klingon could ever be a captain here unless it was forcible or it was a secret ship that no one knew about. I did not see this captain coming, which is good, because then they're not spoiling everything. So that's interesting.
The Klingons.
Once again, you get another look at the new ship, which is called the Discovery, hence the show being called Star Trek Discovery. Get a cool new look. It looks like this is the bridge here. You'll notice the comparison of the size of the bridge to the width of the ship. This ship is much smaller. Heck, it might even be smaller than the original NX-01. It's pretty small compared to the Next Generation Picard show, where the bridge looked like a little speck compared to the entire width of the ship. So this is definitely a smaller ship. Still looks cool, and on closer inspection, it is kind of gray. I thought it was going to be like a lot brown, so this is an improvement when you can look at it more thoroughly. So that's pretty cool.
You will never learn, Vulcan.
And that was Sarek, and he's talking to this person. I want to say it's Spock. Spock was a different ethnicity, but that's fine with me if they're doing that. I'm assuming that he says you will never learn Vulcan. I'm assuming Spock will be in this, because again, this is only 10 years ago, so to have a child Spock in here would definitely be appropriate. They'd have to kind of tweak the age a little bit because Spock was well into adulthood by the movies. He would still kind of be older than this, but if they're going to say it's a Spock, that would be definitely quite interesting to have that cool flashback.
Your tongue is too human.
So, I mean, yeah, I mean, if there's any doubt there that that's Spock, then yeah, it clearly is, because he says your tongue is too human, and yet he's teaching him in Vulcan, meaning he's half human, half Vulcan, and who is that other than Spock? I guess it's possible that there's other half human, half Vulcan people out there, but one would speculate that it is easily Spock.
I'm trying to save you. I'm trying to save all.
You get a good look at the Enterprise hallway right here, very similar to the, why do I keep calling it Enterprise? The Discovery hallway. It does look very similar to Enterprise, the whole gray look. It fits in the prequel setting, so I like that.
Of you.
I'm sure right here this is like some alien high-pitched frequency thing. We've seen that happen throughout all the shows that they encounter some sort of high-pitched frequency thing, so a little cliche, but okay. Looks like a standard alien planet here. A little too standard, actually, but looks cool. More Klingon. And you'll see right here that they're yelling. This is probably the Klingon death chant. You'll probably remember that from the Star Trek Next Generation when someone near to the Klingon named Worf died. He yelled a very loud yell up to the sky, which is probably what this is here.
Target its neck, cut off its head.
You get quick shots of something here. We'll try to stop. It's hard to time it. Trying to stop it right when it's time.
Target its neck, cut off its head.
There. Now, whatever this is, this looks cool, and this looks like a great step up in Aliens. Obviously, you've seen the original show where the aliens are just totally average humans in, costumes. So this is a big step up in the technology department, which will help the show immensely. If anything, that'll be one thing going for the show, so that's cool. And then this, it's moving, and it's too close to tell. Looks like that's the bridge in the back. This literally could be anything. I can't tell if it's a robot or if it's a sensor or what, but that looks cool.
Starfleet doesn't fire first.
We have to.
Let's go through that last part. So she says Starfleet doesn't fire first, and that's a reference to the Starfleet Code of Conduct. They always wait for the enemy to fire first before taking action, unless the enemy has already done something really violent. Definitely a wise move to do, but in this case, the first officer doesn't advise that. And now, it actually just occurred to me that this person actually might be the same person that was cloaked in the hood in the very beginning. It didn't occur to me this whole time that it's probably the same person. So that's the thought as well.
Its head. Starfleet doesn't fire first.
We have to.
It says proton torpedo locked on something. We don't know what it is, but they're gonna have to shoot something.
My people were biologically determined for one purpose alone, to sense the coming of death. I sense it coming now.
Well, that's pretty cliche. But I'll tell you right now, at the end he'll be like, maybe my senses are a little bit off because we totally did not die. Or maybe one very non-important character dies. I don't know. But I do like this character. I can see how I'm going to like this character. I'm thinking he's kind of like the Betazoid type character, like Deanna Troi from The Next Generation. So I can see myself really liking this. Now, I don't know who's that. Is that Thanos? I don't know. It's not from Marvel, but it got an interesting face-off between the first officer and whoever that is. Let's try to catch it right there. Wow, look at that. It looks like almost like a clock on his face or something. Obviously, he has some sort of weapon. Not sure what it is. Looks like a spear or some sort. Let's try to get that back right there. So that looks pretty cool. I don't really know what to add on this because everything is just so new. The Star Trek logo is a little bit newer. Looks a little different. I like it. And yeah, so it looks pretty good. Now, overall, what I thought of the trailer, there were many things that were new. Now, I understand that it's before Kirk, but it is after Enterprise. So they do need to stay within those boundaries to some extent. There were the subtle nods to the original trilogy by seeing Sarek and referencing Spock. But there were quite a few changes here, namely the Klingons are a huge factor here, and also the change in diversity is something as well. There are quite a few changes that I think we'll have to get used to. My biggest hope is that this can be not an action show and can be a show that is a little deeper. Like many Next Generation episodes, or like actually most of them involved something, personal about, like for Data, he was trying to discover his humanity, the love between Deanna and Riker, and war struggles with his son. All stuff that was, philosophical and very interesting and not an action show as we've seen in the reboot movies. So we can only hope that this show continues in that path, which I would be very happy about. Overall, I'm just happy regardless that there is any new show. I mean, I guess I can't be too picky, but I am glad that I'm finally alive to watch one as it comes out, because I was technically alive for the Enterprise show, but I was only ages 1 to 4, so I'm glad to finally be able to watch a show that I can follow faithfully. So it looks like it's going to be pretty good. Again, it's going to be on in the fall in CBS All Access, and I'm looking forward to it. I will see you in our next video, guys. You have a nice day.